Hi YouTube, this is your one Pokestop, and if you just happen to find an old vintage binder of your Pokemon cards, you came to the right place. I'm going to be doing a quick breakdown of all of the possible cards that could be in that binder, what to look out for, and maybe even give you a little bit of insight on what they're worth. So we're going to be starting off with what is known as base set. Now there are multiple sets in the first generation of Pokemon. They range from base set, jungle, fossil, base set 2, Team Rocket, Gym Heroes, and Gym Challenger. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, so if you get lost, feel free to rewind, take some notes, anything you like really. But we're going to be starting from the very beginning of Pokemon, which was in 1998 when they released the base set version of Pokemon. Now, base set is easily identifiable by not having any symbol here on the bottom right, comparable to other set releases coming that I will talk about as well. As you see here, I have a base set 2 release and they have a 2 with the Pokeball here. So base set is the only set to not have anything right here. Another thing you want to get used to looking at is just because you have a base set does not mean you have a first edition. First edition means it was the first of, say, about 10,000 cards released for that set. It's a first edition if you have this first edition stamp right here on the bottom left. Like I said, there's only about 10,000 of them that are put out there, so they're pretty rare. Now, what's so unique about base set, they're still trying to get a feel for how they wanted to do the design of their Pokemon cards. And what I mean by that is they actually had, at the very beginning, what they call shadowless Pokemon. And that only existed for a few months or so, maybe a half a year. They have Pokemon cards that existed, as you see with the Staryu right here, where they are very light along the tones of where the animation is, compared to shadowed Pokemon, which is everything we have up into this day, where they have a black border around the animation with a lot of darker tones. So like I said, that only existed at the very beginning of Pokemon up in base set. There will be nowhere else that shadowless exists. Now, once again, a first edition just does not mean that you have a base set card. It means that you have this black first edition stamp here on the bottom left. Just so you know, if you have any cards that look like that, where they have the shadowless first edition and they're in good condition, you are looking at some very valuable good cards. After those 10,000 cards, they continued to print shadowless for a short period, and that is why I am showing you this Charmeleon here, which is a shadowless, but it does not have the first edition stamp there. They did that for a little while, and then afterwards, they didn't really like the look of it, and doubling back here to that Metapod, they, to this day, have continued in making shadowed Pokemon. So we have a Metapod with a shadow, as well as a Magikarp, a Caterpie, and an Abra. So if you have anything that is shadowless, they are already exponentially more valuable than the rest of them, depending on their condition, just because they came in such short supply. From there, we went into the second release of Gen 1 Pokemon, the second set. Each of these are called sets. You went into the second set of Gen 1 releases known as Jungle. Here are some examples of first edition Jungle Pokemon, all with the shadow. As I said, shadow ended in base set 1. First edition Jungle Pharaoh, first edition Jungle Sparrow, and a first edition Jungle Meowth. After the first editions were done, we went into the unlimited jungles, which include right here, the ones I do have, which is an unlimited Jungle Pikachu, unlimited Jungle Gloom, and an unlimited Jungle Lickitung. Starting to get the point here? So shadowless were very short printed, and first edition are only about the first 10,000 or so. After that, if there's no first edition, they are called unlimited. And you don't need to say shadowed. Like I said, shadowless is the only one you need to say it for. Going after the jungle, we went into fossil. So here are some examples of first edition fossils. I will also show some non-first edition unlimited fossils. We have a first edition fossil Ammonite, a first edition fossil Grimer, first edition fossil Zubat, and a first edition fossil Sandslash, which I personally really love. That first edition stamp definitely stands out. You will not miss it. So after this video, I'm sure it will bring a lot of clarity. That does not mean that the cards you have are not of any worth if you don't have that first edition stamp. It just means that there are more of them in circulation. There are a lot of other factors that include whether something is worth a lot of money or not. And I'll complete it all throughout this video, so just stick with me. We also have unlimited fossil Seadra, unlimited fossil Magmar, and an unlimited fossil Slowbro. After that, we went into what is called base set 2, which is basically an entire repeat of the print from base set. Now, base set 2 is the only generation, or is the only set release to not have a first edition from the original Gen 1. And that being because it is a reprint of the base set. As you can see, it is all the same Pokemon in here. The only difference is, of course, they never went back to Shadowless, and the base set 2 has a 2 with a Pokeball symbol right there. Like I said, there are no first editions in base set 2. Now, getting down to some of the more valuable cards, this will be my first example of some identifying factors beyond the symbols and the first edition and Shadowless, all those things to determine if you have more valuable cards, and that is something called a holographic. This is a Ninetales holographic, as it is easily identifiable with having a background that shines within the picture. There are a lot of holographics included in sets, all the way from base set to the very last one, and to this day we still have a lot of holos. That simply means that you have more of a rare valuable card. You will not find commons or uncommons with these cards. You typically only find them in rares or ultra rare cards. So unlimited base set 2 was a really cool release for people that were maybe a little too young to get involved in base set and could get back to looking at some of these more classic looks, such as we have base set 2 Farfetch'd here, base set 2 Lickitung, base set 2 Kakuna, base set 2 Executor. But at the end of the day, you will not be getting any first editions in that. You are simply left with all of the unlimited copies and the holos at the disposal of the creators. From base set 2, we went into my favorite, which is Team Rocket set, guys. So it is really easy to identify. We have a black R right on the bottom. Anybody else who loves Team Rocket, please leave a like and a comment. We have, starting off, a first edition Team Rocket Charmander, shadowed, as I said. So this is definitely, there's no Shadowless after this, or after the base set. We have a Team Rocket first edition Charmander. We have a Team Rocket first edition Darkmuk, Team Rocket first edition Golduck, and a Team Rocket first edition Dark Primate. A lot of times in the Team Rocket decks, they like to include dark in the name. Charmander was just one of those exceptions when they didn't do that, but you will see a lot of darker, eerie photos involved. That is just the style of it. It is really cool. We have some non-first edition, so this is unlimited. Unlimited Team Rocket Dark Hypno, unlimited Dark Dragonite, and an unlimited Dark Rapidash, all from the Team Rocket set. And then from there, I'm going to show you a quick Team Rocket Unlimited holographic Alakazam. So holographics are included in every set style that includes first edition and unlimited. You will find them in both. Obviously, if you have a first edition set of anything holographic, it is going to be more valuable depending on the condition than a unlimited holographic of that set. So if I had a first edition holographic Team Rocket Alakazam, it's going to be, so long as the condition is better, it's going to be more valuable than this unlimited holographic Team Rocket Dark Alakazam. Seems pretty simple, right? That first edition stamp definitely carries a lot of weight and a lot of value, but that isn't the only determiner for sure. You have to look at whether it's Shadowless, you have to look at the condition, you have to look at if it's a holo, all of those things are super important. So to continue back from my sets in order, we are going from Team Rocket now to the last two of the sets in Gen 1 Pokemon release, and that is Gym Heroes. Now, I'm gonna bring up Gym Challengers, which is the very last of it, just to help understand this because they look so similar. Gym Heroes is designated by having a white with a small black symbol inside right there, and Gym Challenger has a black with a white symbol inside. Very, very similar, and also makes it harder to identify because they both have character symbols on the bottom. So to go back to the Gym Hero one here, we have a first edition Gym Hero Brock's Rhyhorn with Brock chilling right there. Shadowed, like I said, only Shadowless are included in base set. If there was no first edition stamp, this would be known as a unlimited Brock's Rhyhorn from the Gym Heroes. And right here, we have a first edition Gym Challenger Misty's Magikarp. Once again, if there was no first edition symbol, it would be an unlimited Misty's Magikarp from Gym Challengers. That first edition symbol only means that you got one of the first 10,000 cards released. After that, you are part of the unlimited collection. There are some other key identifying factors in whether your cards hold value or not. That, of course, comes down to conditioning. Now, we have a very bad conditioned Magmar from Fossil here. it's already not as valuable, say, as if I had a first edition Magmar, but beyond that, the card itself is very worn out, has a lot of damage along the edges. I'm going to go in more depth with this. There is going to be another video release where I go more about how they do the grading and all that, and how I can teach you how you can look at it with your eyes to see whether it's worth grading or holds any value. But definitely you got to know the conditioning of these cards is super important in the worth. Just because you say have, I don't know, let's go to a back base set. Just because you have a first edition shadowless base set Voltorb does not mean you're looking at a lot of money. Even if I had a holographic first edition base set shadowless Charizard, if it's in very bad condition, meaning like the edges are super worn down, like this Magmar, even if it's a Charizard first edition base set shadowless, guys, holographic, of course, because holographic means more money. Even if I had all that and it's worn down like this or in very bad condition, it's not going to be worth a lot of money. This Magmar, even though it's really old, it comes from the fossil, is probably only about 50 cents, if that. I mean, depending on how much somebody wants to pay for it. So conditioning is very important. There are also some things that have happened along with Pokemon that have determined whether cards are going to be more valuable or not. Charizard has just been godified in any form of Charizard, even from the oldest cards to the newest one. Charizard in any pack, any set is going to be worth money. As long as it is in good condition, it is going to be worth money. But the one I want to talk about here, which is such a big conundrum, is the shiny Magikarp that was released in Neo Revelations. Now, the reason I'm bringing this non-Gen 1 Pokemon into this situation is to let you know that because of shiny Magikarp's release in Neo Revelation, which was Gen 2, because of its release, it actually increased the price of a first edition shadowless base set Magikarp. And that being because Shining Magikarp was the very first Shining card to ever be released in Pokemon. It's just a yellow Magikarp. What's so special about it? Well, the thesis behind Shining cards is that they are very rare in the Pokemon world. They're somewhere around 1 in 4,000 or something like that. You almost never come across them in the TV show or any of the cards until more recently. This was a very strange thing for Pokemon to do, and when they released this, it instantly made people fall in love with Magikarp even more, making first edition shadowless, such like this. If I had a first edition shadowless Magikarp from base set, it would be worth a lot of money just because they released this shiny Magikarp, which made a lot of people fall in love with it. Another one that I'm going to touch over briefly that has become more valuable because of certain circumstances is the Red Cheek Pikachu. Now, a very brief reasoning behind that is because the Red Cheek Pikachu in base set, let me say base set alone, because as you see here in Jungle, there's a Red Cheek Pikachu. I'm not talking about in any other set besides base set. So from only cards that have no symbol here that say 1995, blah, 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 Game Freak, 1999 Wizards right there, only from base set Pokemon like this Voltorb, where they had 2 Pikachus in circulation. They had a Red Cheek Pikachu and a Yellow Cheek Pikachu. Only from that base set, there was a lot of things going on, making eventually the Red Cheek Pikachu more valuable than the Yellow Cheek Pikachu. And that is because up until through all of the shadowless area, they were doing about 50-50 of each. They were doing about 50% Red Cheek Pikachu, 50% Yellow Cheek Pikachu. But as soon as they cut off with the shadowless and they went into unlimited base set with the shadow, whereas that's all we're doing these days. As soon as they went into unlimited shadowed Pokemon, they completely stopped for base set, completely stopped making the Red Cheek Pikachu. So then 5-4 making it the least common Pikachu in circulation from base set. Makes a lot of sense, right? So if you have a Red Cheeked first edition shadowless base set Pikachu, it's going to be much more valuable. So guys, I just want to finish out this video by saying just because you have these cards, once again, does not mean they're going to be worth a lot of money, but you do want to look out for first edition stamps, shadowless, good conditioning. You don't want the condition to be anything like this. They're not going to be worth anything if they are. Holographics, holographics are rare. Anything like Charizard or a Red Cheek Pikachu from base set or a first edition Magikarp, they're going to be worth a lot. Venusaur, Blastoise, those like regular circulation cards, they're all going to be worth something as long as they're in good condition. I'm going to have a video very soon where I'm going to be going through graded cards such as this Mint 9 Poliwag that I have here from base set, giving you all the lowdown on whether you should get them graded or not, what to look out for based on centering, to tell you if you should go and get them graded or not, and how to do a little bit of grading before that. So I hope this video brought a lot of knowledge in. If you want to get a little bit better idea about a non-graded card and its worth, I'm going to include a link in my description about non-graded cards. I will also create a video very soon on some trusted links to get some good cards, what to look out for, say like on eBay or other sites, and how you go through that process properly. So yeah, be very careful when selling and buying Pokemon cards. Guys, please check out that link in my description to see what you're looking at overall with the price of the cards that you do have. And if you have any more interest in learning about your cards, such about grading it or conditioning it or all that sorts of stuff, please go ahead and click that bell to get notifications, waiting for my next video to be released. This is your one PokeStop. Thanks for spinning.